Hello, welcome to Swiss Watch Gang. Welcome to a new episode. You know how it goes on this channel, guys. New episode, new watchmaker. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming Roger Peeters here on my channel. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for, showing us these beautiful watches. I actually found the watch on Instagram and then I think I immediately messaged you. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I'm happy that you could accommodate us and, show the audience what you're doing. So you're actually the founder and the master watchmaker behind the brand Hooke Huygens. I have no way how to pronounce that. So how did you come into this watchmaking world? What's your story? How did you start all this?
So 10 years ago, I didn't have a watch except for a dive watch, an electronic dive watch. And we had an engineering company and we were working for HYT.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about watches. So I started looking for watches and brands and stuff like that. And then suddenly I had this idea. First thing I did was look for the patents. And then the funny thing was, there was a lot of people who wanted to make this. And but nobody really did. And now I know why, because it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure. You have a very special movement configuration. It's actually around the periphery of the case, so there's no middle part. So I assume this was very difficult to manufacture and to develop.
Casing is very difficult, the movement is very difficult, and I put some more difficulty in it by trying to stuff 8 barrels inside.
Technically speaking, what are we looking at? Because I see you also brought some movements with you.
So it's an annular watch with nothing in the middle, and then the difficulty is that you have to build everything between the inner and the outer ring. Actually, the movement is very, very small. It's here between 12 and 2 o'clock. And the rest is filled with barrels.
So how many components are in this watch?
I'm actually, as a good engineer, you try to reduce the number of components.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's only a couple hundred, something like 240 or 250, I guess.
But it's a time-only watch. So how long did it take to develop this movement?
Terribly long. The most complicated thing is to make also the next model and the next model, to make a whole roadmap of complications based on this one, not just one movement. The idea is 10 years old. And the first couple of years I was only working, just analyzing the markets, analyzing brands, teaching myself watch marketing, teaching myself the technology. And then after a couple of years I really started off, and that's about 7 years ago. So more or less 7 years of development.
But listen, the end result is nice, so I'm happy it worked out at the end anyway. So how did you come up with the name, or tell us about the story behind the name? Because it's 2 very prominent last names essentially.
Yeah, so I was already halfway with the development. And I thought, I have to come up with a name. So I started looking for historical stuff, but also just beautiful names. And then, to my big surprise, nobody made Huygens watches, nobody made Hooke watches. So I thought I make Hooke and Huygens because
just take them both.
Huygens invented the pendulum clock, and then Hooke invented the anchor for the pendulum clock. So that's already 2 big inventions. But then 30 years later, they both were searching at the same time to make a clock on a boat, which doesn't work with a pendulum. And they both found more or less simultaneous the balance spring, which to me is the essence of a watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Very nice. So a good prominent name behind the brand, and also with intention and history and love. What are we looking at here? Or how does this watch work essentially?
So, what we haven't talked about, the fact that you can just exchange the gem that goes in the center of the watch.
Nice.
It can either be a ball or it can be a very expensive diamond if you wish.
So you can customize the watches, right?
Yeah.
So when you purchase a watch, do you choose one piece that comes in the middle, or you get like a package of them, or?
So if you buy the watch, you get a couple of sculptures, a couple of balls, and one of those with the watch.
Yeah.
And then I will make for each customer a specialized, for example, sculpture. And the standard watch, this one or with the black, they are 26,000.
With the silver or the black dial, huh?
Yeah.
It's a stainless steel case, or?
Yeah, this stainless steel. And that's with one of these. If you want a diamond of $1 million inside, it's going to be $1 million.
Yeah, the price changes, obviously. Yes, definitely. So tell us a bit more. Let's say, how are the hands mounted on the movement, and a bit more about the movement, because I never heard about a watch having 8 barrels.
There are 4 barrels of 2 on top of each other, actually.
Okay.
And they're basically connected like this. So at the bottom you would have a connecting ring with 4 barrels, and then on each barrel there would be another barrel like that, and these are also connected with a ring.
Yeah.
And we did sort of basically in series and in parallel. That's the resulting barrel. That's still doable, but you cannot go a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as small as they can make because of the spring. The hands, that was actually a nightmare because nobody wanted to make them. It's a gear ring like this with a hand on the top of that. So I only finally one guy who wanted to make it in titanium.
Yeah.
But he broke half the stuff, so that was really development. Yeah, it was just on the edge, I would say. In the end, we made it from titanium, and we achieved to make it out of one part. That was really, really difficult. The casing is also very, very difficult because you have to have an outer lunette and inner lunette and press the glass in it and still are able to open and close it, but you don't see any screws. So we did a lot of tricks over there. And there's like 5 inventions and patents for the watch. So one is the casing, one is the hands, one is these barrels. The dial, the way we have to mount it, we had to develop some special tools to mount the dial. So if you ever want to buy that watch and open it yourself, you probably won't be able to open it or to disassemble the movement.
So what's the power reserve if you have this many barrels?
It's about a week. It's not so much because the barrels are very, very small. But we put a lot of barrels in it, so it's weak.
Yeah. I mean, for a manual winding watch, I mean, that's a lot, huh?
Yeah.
I love the stones as well, huh? They're very nice. Probably hard to produce.
Yes. The first time we ordered them, we forgot to put on tolerances, so they were all a little bit too big and too small.
Yeah. And essentially, if you put this in, it doesn't fall off on the other side, because I assume there's like a security...
On the front, it's a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So you can tennis whatever you want.
Makes sense.
But it doesn't fly out.
And the size is good. So what's the diameter of the watch?
It's 44.
And the lug to lug also isn't too big, huh? Because the lugs are not so...
Yeah, it's 20. So this is really standard. I didn't want to have integrated bracelets because it's kind of a hassle that if it breaks down, you have to order again. Here you can put just any bracelet in you like.
Yeah, but it's also a very classy looking watch. I don't think a bracelet would fit here. So if people want to find out more about the watches, where should they go? They should go on the website or Instagram. What's your preferred choice of contact?
www.hookeandhuygens.com.
Link in the description, obviously, so you guys can find it. What's the future for you? What would you like to do after you sell it, the first pieces?
My first goal is to survive. Because it took so much time. I lost a couple of colleagues. They're still alive, but they gave up. So the first goal is just simply to survive, make this year 100 watches. And then I will be, after all those years, after 10 years, I will be a little bit more relaxed because this was a hell of a ride. And then after that, a couple of 100 watches, actually, that's the goal. And this is just the beginning. I want to add every 2 years a complication inside that watch.
Nice, I can see that developing,
The second one, the third one, and the fourth one I already have done. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise for next year, but you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, I see like a nice moon phase would be cool with this watch. Tourbillon in the middle, if we can connect it somehow. You probably can, huh? You see the smile on the face?
I'm not saying
it would be nice to exchange tourbillons in a cage like this. Today I feel like a flying tourbillon, tomorrow like a gyro tourbillon.
Tourbillon is actually very easy to make.
Yeah, it's like it's a cage basically. Roger, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time and to show these beautiful watches. If you guys have some questions, obviously just message him or leave a comment down below and follow his social media account so you can find out more about the watches. Again, thank you so much. And guys, you know what to do. Like this video and subscribe. Share with somebody who does know the brand yet so you can get him as much exposure as possible. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.